Le Bureau de visibilité de Calgary is excited to bring you La French Connexion Calgary, where guests are invited to share their fascinating stories and raison d'être in English and or en français, with content in Cree, Michif, Blackfoot, and other native languages of Canada. Bonjour and welcome to La French Connexion Calgary. I'm Suzanne de Courville-Nicole, here in conversation with Mr. Réal Girard, a PhD, an incredible Franco-Albertan phenomenon, passionate of studying, ongoing continuing education, advanced education in French, in Cree. He has multiple degrees, it's just nonstop. Mr. Dr. Girard is presently a researcher in the Cree alphabet, syllabic alphabet at the University of Nistamiamakanak. I'm sure he will correct that pronunciation. And he offers workshops, interactive workshops for children of all ages. And he's just a fascinating man. So very impressive, very, very pleased to have Dr. Girard here with us today. We are actually at the La Chaumière restaurant in the heart of Rouleauville. The historic French Quarter of Calgary that is one of Calgary's best kept secrets, but we're changing all that. Réal Girard, you're a fascinating man. What can I say?
Thank you.
Born in the Saguenay, you arrived in Alberta at age 11, 1955, with your family. Tell us about your family and what prompted them to move out here to Alberta from Quebec.
So we moved to Alberta in 1955 to start a new community, Saint-Isidore. Now it started, my father was very involved in the cooperative movements in the Saguenay region, and the lands were getting smaller and smaller for the large families they had. And they wanted to keep, people stay on their farms. And at that time, Alberta was opening homesteads in the Peace River region. So they organized in a cooperative, La Société des Compagnons de Saint-Isidore. And the 10 or 11 families moved at first there in 54. And then they started opening land because it was all bush. And then because it was a cooperative, they were working as a cooperative, they needed a manager. And my father, who had been working with l'UCC du Saguenay, decided, I'm going to stop preaching and I'm going to act. So he decided to move to Peace River and became the manager of the Compagnon de Saint-Isidore.
Wow. Follow the leader.
Yeah, that's it.
And so the family was extremely active, prominent as a founding family.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But moving on, speaking about your studies now, you're really very well educated with several degrees, university degrees, master's degree, and you've studied not only in various places across Canada, but also in Europe. Tell us about that.
So first of all, in Saint-Isidore, education was very important to my parents. So there was a college in Falaire. There were convents in Falaire, in Donnelly, in McLennan. So, and I had many sisters too, and there was no distinction between a girl or a boy there. We all had to be educated. So I went to a collège Notre-Dame de Falaire, Then for 2 years, Collège Saint-Jean, who is now what is now the French campus of University of Alberta, Faculté Saint-Jean. And then after that, I went to Montreal because I was thinking at that time to become a priest. So I went to the Seminary of Philosophy in Montreal. Then I came back to Alberta, worked for a few years, and went back studying at the University of Alberta in literature with Dr. Roger Motu. And then I went to do my third cycle doctorate in Paris. So first I went to Paris 10, which was Nanterre, and then University of Paris 4, that is the old Sorbonne in the Latin Quarter.
Well-known name.
In Paris.
Yes. You go to Sorbonne, that's saying something, huh? Oh. And you studied in Moncton, and
yes. So I forgot before Paris, before Edmonton, master in Edmonton, I went to Moncton, and that's where I got my BA and BEd degree from Moncton.
And so you became a teacher.
And then I taught school, but not very long.
No.
After that, I didn't feel comfortable in the school setting.
Not your calling.
Yeah. No.
You had greater things coming your way. With the Cree.
I thought I didn't know what it was then, but now I kind of know what it was. So after I retired, I had that dream there from St. Isidore from when I was very young, because they were sending us to pick up roots with the native people, the trappers from Cadotte Lake who came back, around Peace River there in the springtime. So my dad had talked to them and hired them to pick up roots. So every summer, that's how I really got to know, the Indians. And then I thought they were talking their language a lot between themselves. So I thought, it would be nice to learn a language from North America, a language from this land. Yes. French, English, Latin, all that. It was the old country. But, at that time, they never mentioned that they were teaching Cree, or that, it was really not, how could I say, it was not, anyway, it was not there.
It was not as significant as it is now.
Yeah, that's it. There was not. And now with reconciliation and all, the history that we know a little bit more, that's what, pushed me to learn more about. And that's when I discovered 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years maybe, that Blue Quills, the old Blue Quills residential school that had been bought by 7 reserves from around the Lakeland region, so that they could take their own education in charge. But it's only, and that was 40 years ago, over 40 years ago. And then at that time, Jean Chrétien, when they were asking, to buy that, Jean Chrétien said, oh, never mind, they will never succeed anyway. 40, 45 years later, it became, 2 years ago, they're officially a university.
Ah, that's amazing.
And that's when I discovered that they were giving a degree, the BA degree in Nihiowewin language and culture. So I went there for 3 years. It was close to home, 45 minutes from home.
So you must have made some very close friends there.
Well, also. They became like my second family. Mm-hmm. So when I go there, I have a little office there, a desk, my internet, computer. So I feel like I'm at home there. And they're always happy to see me, we hug. We like one another. We love one another.
That's very special. Yeah, and from that, then you have decided to.
Okay. Well, you see, Cree can be written in SRO. Like Roman orthography, the letters that we know there, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But in the since the Europeans arrived in North America, the Indians, they couldn't figure out that big book there that they were showing them all the time and saying, from now on, you have to do. So they tried to figure out, how to write in their own language. And that's in 1840. They did lots of research. They tried all kinds of things. And it's 1840, with the help of missionaries, of course, because they were kind of linguists. The priests were linguists also. They came up with this Cree Syllabic. So that's the Cree alphabet, the original. 4 vowels on top. A, I, E, I. See, it's different in English or in French. But anyway, and the consonants. There are 13 sounds in Cree. And Father Lecombe, who was one of the first to write a grammar, on the Cree grammar, was always surprised that with only 13 sounds, the Cree managed to express and say the same thing as languages that have 26, French or English or whatever.
Fascinating. And he developed also the dictionary, did he not?
Yes? Yeah, he wrote, but he didn't use syllabic for Lecombe. So it was in 1840 that one missionary, Baptist missionary, really commercialized it.
Oh.
But then he tried to say, that he invented it by himself, but nobody believes him. Or his... or those who have written his life.
Well, that's really good and so important what you're doing. So passing on your knowledge.
Now you see, and it's coming back.
Yes.
The Cree Syllabics. So that's what I'm interested in giving, workshops, so that even if people don't learn it by, completely, at least that they have an idea. And by the way, when you have news from Nunavut, that's the official language, the official writing of the Nunavut.
Oh.
Yeah.
My goodness. It's a little bit like shorthand. It's kind of shorthand. Well, no, not
in
really.
a way, yeah. It's but it's like alphabet. It's a symbols that represent a sound.
Fascinating. And you're going to be telling us more in detail in a moment.
Yes.
And so for now, I have to say it's been a real pleasure speaking with you here today. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. And we look forward to more.
And it's always a pleasure to come to Calgary.
Recently voted the 4th most livable city in the world. So voila. Welcome.
Thank you.